In this video, in the series of visual presentation of data, we're going to be talking about workflows, specifically how to develop a workflow that works for you rather than against you and gets in the way of you making the best figure you can for your presentation or for your paper that you're writing. So we're going to go back to this diagram that we talked about in the first video about the overall iterative process of making this, of making figures in general. So the thing that I want to emphasize here, that I also emphasized at the beginning, is that this is a cyclic process. Okay, we're iterating here. So the overriding principle that I'm going to advocate for your workflow is you need to do whatever it takes to make it so that you can iterate instead of getting in the way. If you ever have a part of your workflow that makes it like, oh, it's going to be so hard for me to remake that figure. Oh, I don't want to do it because it's going to be so hard. Then you're making a mistake. That is not a good workflow because it's getting in the way of your iterating when you really should, rather than making it easy for you to iterate. You should be able to iterate. If you have a color that's slightly the wrong shade of yellow, if you have a tick mark that's in the wrong place, it should be really easy for you, whatever you're doing in your workflow, to make that happen instead of getting in the way. So how do we do this? You need to cultivate a workflow that encourages iterations. Okay, so I'm not going to tell you software pieces to use. And the reason I'm not doing it is because, well, by the time that you watch this video, I'm sure there's going to be lots of different tools that are around. And I'm not going to be prescriptive about what is the right way of doing it. There's lots and lots of tools out there and lots of people who have given advice about which pieces of software to use. They all have their trade-offs. Some of them are really powerful, but they're really complicated. Some of them are really intuitive, but they're expensive and require subscriptions. Some of them are really simple, but they don't have as much functionality. And so I'm not going to tell you exactly what the right way to do it is, but whatever it is, you need to make one that works for you. And I do actually encourage you to talk to your close friends and colleagues about which workflows specifically that they use, depending on what software that they're using, because it really is it's kind of a personal choice. In fact, there's a couple of things that I do that I don't think anyone else does, and probably drives my collaborators crazy, but it works for me. Okay, so whatever it is, the overguiding principle here is that you need to make it so that it encourages iterations. It makes it easy for you to go through everything in a way that is as painless as possible, and makes it so that it's encouraging of iterations and progress instead of getting in the way. So the general categories of options include the following. There are people who prefer, and again, there's no right, I'm going to give you some options. There's no right answer here. You do you figure out what works for you. You can make every aspect of a figure in a code or a script. You can make it so that if you have a Jupyter notebook or whatever it is, you can hit one button, go, and everything just runs and actually produces an exact copy of the figure as it should go in your paper. You can totally do that. It is entirely possible to do this. Exports it as a vectorized format, pop it right into the paper. People even automate that process as well. So you run the figure, it uploads it to some cloud, and the cloud actually and then compiles it right into the figure. You can do that. If that's your jam, go for it. Okay? There are some intermediates that people also use. One of them is to make data visualizations in the script. So maybe you're making panels of the figure in a script with the tick marks and the labels and everything. And then you export that and then assemble the panels in another piece of software. Some people go as far as to say they actually would tweak the colors and things of the vectorized outputs in a piece of software like Inkscape or another piece of software like that. And that's their preference, and there's nothing wrong with that. But that's sort of more hand tuning steps in that process, right? You can't, if you data changed or if you decided to include a new data set, you rerun your analysis, there's a couple more steps involved that you have to do by hand, essentially, to get to the point where you have a new figure that can go into your paper. There's another thing that you can do, which is just plot the data in a script. Just do the data visualization part in code, and then you can actually annotate it in other pieces of software. So that's another, a little more bespoke that way. Maybe you're only plotting the data points, but you're not even doing the labels, right? Maybe you're adding the axes labels in another piece of software, and that's something that you prefer because it works for you. So this is sort of in order of most automated to least automated, but there's nothing wrong with any of these different ways to do it as long as you make sure that your workflow, whatever it is robust and reproducible. Don't do anything where you get to the end of a figure, you look at it 2 months from now, and you're like, I have no idea how I make that figure. That's not cool. Okay? Whatever it is, take enough notes and make sure you know what you're doing so that it's reproducible. You really don't want to get to the end of, there's 2 days left until the deadline of your paper and you just have no idea how you even made the figure. You don't know where the data is or how you came upon it. Don't do that. But there are trade-offs of full automation versus manual annotation. Sometimes it takes longer to do the full automation than just do the thing in Inkscape like like would have taken you an hour to do it in Inkscape, and it probably would take you 2 days to do the full automation. It may or may not be worth it. That's your decision. There's no right answer. You decide. But whatever you choose, keep in mind that whatever your workflow is, it should support making the figure over and over and over. Be prepared. You are never going to be making the final figure. Be prepared to change it. Be prepared to iterate. Make that as easy as possible. In terms of choosing software packages, my general goal is to choose the simplest thing that gets the job done. If you are doing something that's relatively simple, like just putting panels together, okay, and then maybe drawing a couple of arrows, and you think Inkscape is what everyone else is using, so you're trying to use Inkscape, but it's really complicated and it's not really working and it's really slow, just do it in PowerPoint and Keynote. It's okay. I'm giving you permission right now to just use the simplest software that gets the job done. Okay? You don't need to use the complicated thing just because everyone else is using it. If you wanted to do a simple job, use the simple tools. The caveat to that is that if you want to gain those skills and learn how to use Inkscape so that you can use Inkscape in the future to do more complicated things, now obviously that's an investment in yourself, an investment in education, an investment in those skills is always worth it. Okay? So if you just want to get something done, it's okay to just get it done quickly because you need to get it done quickly, but it is possible that you may want to learn more complicated tools so that you're able to use it to do more complicated things in the future. Another piece of practical advice, at all times, exporting vectorized format, please do it. Please, if you don't know what that is, look it up. It's basically a way of specifying a format for a figure that is of infinite resolution so that you can blow it up and have it still show up and render correctly. Otherwise, it's going to not look very good at high resolution. And so whatever it is you're doing, whatever software you're using, make sure you're exporting your figures in a vectorized format. Okay, those are all the advice that I have for your workflow. Okay, at all points, this is what we're trying to do. And your workflow, like everything else you're doing, should be supportive of this instead of getting in the way. So that is the 5th video in this video series on the last of the how-to videos. Up next, we're going to talk about the 10 things that I hate about bad plots.